Economic Alliance presents the Gulf Coast Growth Show, your show for the coast with the most growth, with your host, Jason Lee and Clint Aiken.
All right. We are live for episode 2 of the Gulf Coast Growth Show.
Your show for the coast with the most growth.
Yeah,
Got it right.
He's
Nailed
it. There's no way I'm getting that right because I kind of have I have a hard time with my my words like that. So you crushed that.
Yeah.
So I'm Jason Lee. Welcome. I'm the host of Gulf Coast Growth Show, and I'm here with Clint Aiken, our co-host.
Yeah, I'm your co-host, Clint Aiken. You just said that. We're good.
And we have a special guest today.
Hey, Jason, how are you?
Yeah,
Fred Welch.
Fred Welch from the Vice President of the Economic Alliance Port Region. And Fred, if just a quick introduction, and then we're going to jump into a couple things. But tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Well, I am Vice President for the Economic Development Division here within the Alliance. So my function is to work with existing businesses to help them grow and expand across the region, and to work through marketing and recruitment to expose this region to other firms that should be here, maybe aren't here yet. Gosh knows why they aren't here. So, we just keep working.
Still can't figure it out. Still can't figure it out. So we always like to start out before we dive into the show with a little bit of gratitude. The first thing that I want to give my gratitude, I have an attitude of gratitude for, is really the guys that show up every day in the trenches, working across the plants, the ship channel. It's easy to, as I was sipping out of my plastic water bottle and I pump the gas into my car and I do all these little things, we forget about the guys that are working shift work, grinding and showing up every day, doing some stuff that I certainly couldn't go out and do. So very thankful for those guys that show up every day, guys and gals, because of what they're able to contribute to the region, and they are the ones in the trenches. So thankful for them.
This week, I'm probably most grateful for health, honestly.
Okay.
There's just a lot of things that could be going wrong. I got a lot of friends that have been suffering allergies and all that kind of stuff. And fortunately, I've kind of dodged that bullet so far. But thankful for the health that God's given us. So it's good.
Well, I've had a lot of conscious effort on family this week, and I'm thankful that they are all healthy. We get one more off the payroll, things will be even better. But just the fact that they're there, they support me and my efforts, and from that, the good Lord above keeping us all on track.
Nice. So, and we have something else we want to give some acknowledgement to, and I think you were going to cover that for us today before we dove into our sponsors.
Appreciate that, Jason. I just want to, this has been a busy week, certainly a different week around here with the incident at the ITC terminals starting Sunday. And I want to really give a shout out and a big thanks to not only the employees there, the SEMA Channel Industries Mutual Aid Organization that came together and worked to mitigate that event as quickly as possible. But also when you go across here to all the communities, particularly here in Deer Park, when you look at the mayor, his staff, the way they kept calm, the way they kept the people informed, and I think made some very, very right, very hard decisions at times to make sure that the public safety was there. And that's just really great. And it's when we look at the fact that at least right now we have no recordable injuries. We've had a minimal loss to personnel, shall we say, and equipment we can always repair and replace.
Right. Well, we're thankful for that too, Fred, and we appreciate you acknowledging those guys. So with that, let's turn it over to our sponsor recognition.
Yeah, we want to thank
Clint's going to update us
on
some of our events and updating things that we have coming up.
So we're going to take this time to acknowledge our sponsors, and one of those is the Industrial Safety Training Council, ISTC. They are a proud supporter of this podcast. ISTC is the nation's leading industrial workforce compliance organization. They are committed to the safety of our petrochemical plants, pipelines, and their contractors. You can drop them a line at #IamSafety. Also, we want to thank McDonough Engineering Corporation. They are a full-service engineering firm specializing in industrial site design, including tank terminals, truck loading facilities, and manufacturing and distribution facilities. They are proud supporters of the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region and this podcast. You can check out more information about them at mectx.com. And we also want to thank Turner Industries. For over 55 years, Turner Industry employees across the Gulf Coast and beyond have answered the country's toughest industrial challenges. They provide one solution for your success with industrial construction, maintenance, turnaround, pipe and modular fabrication, equipment, rigging, and specialized transportation, and associated specialty services. You can learn more about them at turner-industries.com. So thanks to those sponsors. This week, I was actually able to attend the Plant Maintenance Inspection and Engineering Society show at the Pasadena Convention Center. I want to thank all the exhibitors that were there on site. Thank you for the people that put the conference together. I was walking the event, talking with the sponsors and people attending the show, and everybody had a really great time. So it was a good event for everyone involved. Other events coming up, the Association of Chemical Industry in Texas, ACIT, has their golf tournament coming up on Thursday, April 11th. You can find out more about that at their website, acit.org. And our media partner and good friends with BIC Alliance will have their crawfish boil coming up on Thursday, May 2nd. And you can check out more about that by going to their website and register for that event.
Let's hear it for the Mudbugs.
Yeah,
It's that time of year.
It's that time of year, and I know that last year they had a huge turnout, and we're
Good
excited.
time.
I think that's really that just continues to grow every year. It's really exciting to see what BIC does, and they continue to do for the area for awareness. And that's really a great time. So excited
It
about
is.
that.
Yeah.
So as we dive in, let's talk a little bit about what you do on. I talked about it last week, right? Chad was there. Casting division, really high level. He really suits the president role. But you're in the trenches every day. I said it yesterday or last week. The sausage gets made back here at the office, and some of the things that you guys are doing in the trenches. So tell us really about what economic development is and why we need it
Sure.
as an organization.
Well, I think when we look at economic development, certainly you can get the scholarly definitions and people looking at it from many points of view. But I think from my perspective, it is that part of growing your community where we are working with businesses either to expand by way of bringing new capital, new investment into the community, and out of that, creating new jobs. Those new jobs then we hope are at a higher level than where they were, so that allows for more spending power within the community and allows the region, gives that region the opportunity to then continue to grow and provide really what we call quality of life to the residents and a reason to kind of live, work, and play there. Why do we do it? We've been so successful, right? I mean, goodness, if you look at the state of Texas over the last 10 years, we were the last end of the recession in 2010. We were at about a minus 125,000 jobs across the region to today. And even with that little bump in 2018, we continue to pour out product and expand here along the Gulf Coast. I think we're at about a 3.8% unemployment rate across the state.
That's awesome.
But the challenge is, as we continue to grow and expand, and we are growing, we're adding 100,000 people a year here in the region, we have to be able to create new jobs, new employment opportunities. Also within those existing industries, Jason, we have a need on the contracting side for close to 5,000 skilled technicians in the next 5 to 10 years to sometimes replace the aging workforce. I guess I'm part of that crew, and also for the new employment opportunities. And we find almost a similar number of jobs that are going to be available to the workforce and the opportunities that are there inside the fence with our chemical and refining companies along the Gulf Coast. So you can't be complacent, because the minute you become complacent, you start losing. If you're not growing, you're dying, and as a community. So to evolve, to get to that next level, we use economic development as kind of the pivot point and the fulcrum to make all of it work.
Okay. Great, and I want to make sure we get one thing real clear.
Sure.
There is no replacing Fred Welch. So
They'll probably hire 3 people to replace me.
yeah, I'm about to say that's they're going to have to hire 3 of them. So So tell us a little bit about some of the changes that you see kind of out in the distance, things that you think are coming down the pipe for us.
Well, I think we kind of brushed on that just a little bit. One of our big efforts over the last couple of years has been in this area of workforce development. What we might even say is workforce opportunity, where we've been involved primarily in the high schools, working with the career technology programs that these young students can get involved with before they graduate, or at graduation be able to go to someplace like San Jacinto College and get certified with a certificate as opposed to maybe a 2-year degree and go right to work in industry. But I think as we move along this, again, because we are tight on unemployment, we need to look at that underserved population, Jason. So I think there will be a lot of opportunity there to reach out to veterans organizations, to the other groups, whether they be in urban or suburban groups that help to reach out to these displaced people who just need what I call a hand up as opposed to a handout.
And earlier in our conversation, you were talking about, before we started recording, you were talking about how many jobs are created for every one inside the fence.
Really good point,
that?
Clint. Yeah, so for each job we have in the chemical industry, whether we call those inside the fence with those owner companies, it impacts 6 to 7 jobs on the outside. And these are usually high-paying jobs that might be a contractor. They could be someone in maybe machining or milling parts, or just distributing those parts as they're needed, having them there on demand, to the service industries, hospitality, restaurants, hotels, the infrastructure that we need to support all of these workers who come into and out of our region. So it's very, very critical for how we balance that and keep growing.
Yeah, I think you only have to take one trip between Fairmont and Spencer
You see it
on the Beltway, and you see exactly what's happened with job growth and all the new development.
Yes, sir.
Really excited about Chewy's. That green
Chewy's is going to be great, right?
Yeah. I don't know what they put in it, but
those hatch peppers are coming to call.
Man,
That's right.
We'll have to talk to Chili's after this for some endorsements. But
and last week we were talking with Chad, and he did mention y'all's trip to DC.
Sure.
He told us kind of a little bit about what they do, but can you give us more day-to-day, maybe even hour by hour? What does that look like, and how are y'all involved with that? What is that?
So it's kind of an all-hands effort, and in that we probably will have 30 to 35 individuals as a part of this group. Now, there's no way you can bring 35 people into one congressman's office. Usually there's not enough room to begin with. So on the front end here, our staff and intern we've had working with us have been involved in setting up appointments, both with federal agencies, involved with things that are important to our region, Corps of Engineers, when we talk about the ship channel. We might be looking at the maritime agencies, where we're working with the Houston pilots in terms of safety, to with San Jacinto College, we might be making calls with either Department of Labor or Department of Education to advocate for funding to help continue these programs of workforce development, workforce training. Infrastructure is a big thing, and certainly as we work with that, for whether it be our highway, our rail, or our maritime system, it starts with appropriations from Congress that they come back down into usually the state agencies to the regional agencies. So spending time also with our legislators, particularly the Houston legislative delegation, both the House and the Senate, just thanking them for their service and making sure that they're aware of the needs of this part of the Houston region, keeping it kind of top of the envelope for them.
I think that's real important because as a business owner, I think a lot of people look to organizations as an opportunity to get branding, right? They're a member, they get connections, they get to connect with folks.
Right.
I think they lose sight of the fact a lot of times of the actual organization's impact, and that you guys are out there petitioning, in a sense, fighting for opportunities for them that are going to support their business. And I just think that's a huge thing.
So the advocacy is important at the federal and the state level both, since we have a state session there between now and the 1st of June, because we want to make sure that we still keep that low regulatory climate that will enable businesses to come out and start and still have the transparency there, so that we're all being responsible, we're all being good caretakers for the resources and the environment that we operate in, and that's certainly one part of that. I think the other stools that really kind of work within our organization and support this whole economic development effort. Not that I'm trying to be parochial here, but we do have a workforce development. We do have that quality of life where we work with our communities to kind of come across that, and we continue to just kind of build in all those areas to make sure that we're serving the needs of our members. Because at the end of the day, we're a member-driven organization.
Fantastic. So with that, we should probably turn it over for another acknowledgement of our sponsors real quick.
Absolutely. So again, we want to thank the Industrial Safety Training Council. We want to thank McDonough Engineering Corporation and Turner Industries for sponsoring the show. They're a big part of helping us pull this all together. So thank you for their support. I guess moving on to the next question is we want to find out a little bit more about Fred the Man, right? We know what you do for the Economic Alliance, but we don't know a little bit more about you. So my question is, what charitable organizations are you involved with, and do they have any events coming up? Is there any information you can share with us about those organizations?
So I've been active in the veterans community as a retired Army for 30 years. It's still a need that I think is near and dear to my heart. There's an organization that's been kind of trying to be an umbrella type of organization across the Houston area, Edge for Vets. I've had a fair amount of involvement with them over the last year, and retiring out of the 75th Division, which is a reserve unit here in Houston. I'm an active part of their Veterans Association and working with trying to reconnect folks from World War II up to the present in our mission. On a kind of a larger scale, there's an organization I got started, I think, about a year ago through Gulf Winds Industry Transportation Group here, and the Stewart's family started an organization called More Than the Move. I'll get that together. Jamie Hampton is kind of heading that up, and what they have put together is a web portal, for lack of a better way to describe it, where they have reached out to the Houston Food Bank, to all of the civic and community-based organizations who are doing service work in the community that are looking for volunteers. The advantage that they see this, initially it was connecting their employees to things that they might want to do, whether it be spend a day at Auburn Bayou, doing fix-up work there, or going to work at the Houston Food Bank. And a project we got involved with in November,
right.
just putting together kits that we could give out to the needy and homeless there in Houston. And then now they're bringing this out to small to medium-sized businesses in the Houston area, trying to expose this program, because when you're sitting there day to day and you have let's just say an obligation that you want to provide community service, and all of a sudden it gets to be the 15th of the month, and I'm looking for 200 volunteer hours to put somewhere, this would be a way to go in, see what's happening, and maybe fit the need around the ability of your employees to participate in those programs. So it's a really exciting concept, and one that I think is going to prove very beneficial to the businesses here on our
People
side.
want to learn more about either one of these organizations? They got websites, or
So
find out about
absolutely, More Than the Move, morethanthemove.org.
Hey, you nailed it.
Yeah. And Jamie Hampton, and certainly if you recall any of the staff here at the Alliance, we could get you in touch with them directly ourselves. Be glad to. Edge for Vets is Edge for the number 4 Vets, and I think you have to Google that, but I believe it's edgeforvets.org if I remember right.
Okay.
Yeah, I do want to make sure, because you said something about that the event that we had. I think it's great the organization teams up with places like Gulf Winds and what they're doing with More Than Move.
Yes, sir.
We went out there as a kind of a day for the Economic Alliance, and we still had those bags. So my daughter and I really enjoyed taking she got a kick out of, she'd be in the back of the car, and we'd see a homeless person on the side of the road. We'd grab our little bags and distribute them. So I think it was a really fun event. And more importantly, I think the culture of what they built over there, it really stems from a service. What's the name of the CEO?
Todd Stewart.
Todd Stewart.
Yeah.
So when you walk into the environment, you can't help but see that what they built is it's rooted in how do we go out and give back, right? How do we go out and bring that awareness and take the burden off a lot of the guys that are out there, because you're trying to run a company. You might not have the resources, and so I think it's just a wonderful thing. Todd's a guy that we're going to have to try to.
Would be a great person to have on here one time.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot of great things about their organization, what they're doing. So, so let's shift gears and talk a little bit about Fred, the leader, right? I've always see you up in the front. You're very well spoken. You can tell you know what you're doing.
Good facade, huh?
Yeah, well, you've done well. I've always said, fake it till you make it. It's worked for 40 years.
It has.
You've obviously mastered it. So, but tell us a little bit about what's really led to your success, and what really you can attribute to some of the great things that you've been able to do.
Well, I think a lot of it just comes back to maybe life's experiences. And I grew up in a very small community on a family farm. That evolved into really a family business as years went along, and seeing the challenges that a small business owner has day to day. When you're looking at things like payroll, inventory control, profitability, it drove home a lot of I think just basic skills that probably drove me to a business degree in college. Getting number 38 on the draft lottery drove me to ROTC in the military, and truthfully, I think the two have combined well over the years to allow me to kind of get into more complex situations, not be afraid of looking at anything new. I think the key is being able to challenge yourself to new levels. If you keep doing things the same way, basically you can be assured of the same outcome. Coming back post-Desert Storm, actually the Chamber of Commerce president, good friend of ours in Texas City, just encouraged me to go to the city of Lamar, where I started this journey in economic development about 25 years ago. And I think complementing that has been the ability for some very good mentors along the way to take me in, help me out. And now, I guess my greatest thrill is being able to look at some of the younger men and women that are getting involved in economic development, and where I can pass along some of those experiences to them, help them along in their careers too.
That's great.
It's been great.
Well, I think it's really important to point out the fact that your lineage of having been a small business owner and having been in their shoes. I think people, the people that we serve, in this environment, are all those folks that are in the small business. You drive up and down 225, up and down Beltway. There's nothing but small businesses, and those small businesses are what
that's the backbone of where we are.
Yeah, they're the backbone,
right.
And so it's important to understand that the guy up here trying to work, to support the backbone, has been part of their team, and so I think that's really great. Anybody that you have that you would want to acknowledge from a mentor perspective, or if there's anything, maybe some advice you want to give to some guys or gals that are listening, that you could encourage them about personal development.
That's a good question.
That's a really good one. I think too that come to bear really quick within the economic development space, and then just overall. Tom Stinson, who was just came into Conroe about the time I started coming into Lamar, was very open, along with another gentleman by the name of Gary Vest out in West Texas. So, like I say, we had the depth and breadth of things there, and Danny Booth and Terrell. These are gentlemen who spent their career in Chamber Economic Development work, done very well. I had the privilege of working with now the president of the Texas Association of Businesses, Jeff Mosley, for the Greater Houston Partnership. And Jeff was always been open, always a great friend, good Christian man, and they've been able to, I think, maybe help me weave that fabric that's become me over the last several years.
Great. So earlier, when you're talking, you mentioned that you've been in economic development for 25 years. That's pretty significant. Are there any other just personal highlights that you'd like to share, just so people can know you a little bit better?
Well, I think I'm at that point now where I'm interested in giving back to the community, but really now with 3 grandchildren, maybe we'll get a 4th one someday. Who knows? Spending the time with them, to kind of be in that coaching seat it's a lot easier as a grandparent to get out and spoil the dickens out of them and then hand them back and say, here they're yours. But so I do I'm enjoying that part of it. And still, trying to challenge myself just to stay current, know what's going to happen. And at that point, related back to what our mission is here and how we can make it, improve it, make it better.
So if you're Fred's kids and you're listening, he was no pressure, but he did say something about a 4th.
So, gotta give, no pressure there. And,
wow, I like how you just kind of slid that in there. So with that, Fred, Clint, do you have any more questions or anything?
No, I think that pretty much covers most of our show. So.
Well, we will acknowledge our sponsors, but one thing I want to do before we wrap up the show is we got a gift for you.
Oh, great.
So at our firm, we believe a lot in the entrepreneurial operating system. It's EOS. And they have a book called Traction, which is great for helping you run your organization, systems, tools, and strategy. It's written by an author named Gino Waitman. And one of their implementers, her name's Megan Allerid, she's on the north side, but she helps institute these tools and systems into organizations. But she wanted to give us some gifts to give to our leaders that we bring on. I know you always speak so highly about the team, staff,
absolutely,
the folks that you have working for us. They really do step up, but this is a great way to continue to pour into them. So we wanted to gift that to you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that very much.
We got to plug it.
You got to plug the book.
Yeah, we're going to do it the right way.
Yes, there we go.
I'm a rookie. Like Clint took classes or something for this stuff. I'm not really right, and I think he shared that. So he's a thespian.
I don't know that.
Huh?
I don't know that.
He's just a good actor, right?
Yeah. Look it up. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
So, Clint, why don't you close us out with our sponsorships? And again, stay tuned for next week. We're going to bring on Dennis Winkler. I think Clint's going to be out, so I'll be solo. But I'm fortunate enough to have the opportunity to bring in Dennis because no pressure. But Dennis is like the master of
political or shall we say public relations.
Public relations. So I'm hoping to pick up some hints and tips before the show, so he can tell me what to do.
He would tell us the same thing with the book.
Yeah, he was exactly. So no pressure on me, but Dennis is just going to be exciting to hear about. He's going to be talking about public policy, and so he's got over 20 plus years here in this region and dealing with that. And so we're excited to have him on the show. And so Clint, why don't you wrap up with our sponsors? And again, stay tuned next week on the Facebook channel live, and then within a few, probably by next Wednesday, Thursday, you'll be able to go online, Google, and find through Spotify your favorite channels, and you can download this episode and listen to it on your drive-in.
Or the previous episode. I mean, that's on YouTube now.
Yep.
It's on the podcast, so you can go back and listen to either one of those if you want to get caught up on what we covered last week and as we continue to cover things. And again, we want to thank our sponsors, Industrial Safety Training Council, the ISTC. We want to thank McDonough Engineering Corporation. And we want to specifically thank Turner Industries for backing this program and helping us make this all possible. So, appreciate those sponsors.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Economic Alliance thanks you for tuning in to the Gulf Coast Growth Show. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and share with your friends.